Charles Barkley was totally right about Kevin Durant, but no one paid attention. Now, KD is on the same track as before, and it probably won't end up with a title. Before joining the Golden State Warriors in 2016, Kevin Durant was the poster boy for second place. He even said as much to Sports Illustrated. "I'm tired of being second. I'm done with it." He was rated the second highest in high school. He was the number 2 pick in the draft. His Oklahoma City Thunder were runners-up in 2012. He was second place in MVP voting in 2010, 2012, and 2013, right behind LeBron James every single time. He finally beat out Bron in 2014, but he couldn't earn the right to call himself the best player on earth after losing in the conference finals. Second best in the West. KD's best shot at a title without Steph might have been in 2016, when he and Russ had the Warriors in a chokehold, 3-1 lead in the conference championship. No way you blow that, right? Then in those last 3 games, 12 for 31, 10 for 31, 10 for 19, 3 straight losses. Everyone knew he was going to leave OKC. He just had to get away from Westbrook. But joining a team that just won 73 games, then beat you in the playoffs in that way, that's embarrassing. How can KD still try to defend himself? Charles Barkley has KD figured out, but Durant still denies it.
I always tell people, I'm talking about Isaiah Thomas has a great phrase. He says, "I'm talking about bus drivers, not bus riders." And Kevin Durant was a bus driver, and now he's on a bus rider. But he's teaming up with Devin Durant. They replayed his tweet when he took shots at LeBron when he went to Miami, and it came back to bite him.
Chuck has always called KD a bus rider, not a bus driver, even before those 2 straight finals. Durant couldn't win on his own, so he joined up with the best team on the planet to sit shotgun for 2 titles. But after he won those 2 titles, couldn't you argue that he was a bus driver, Chuck? That's a great point. Just because KD won Finals MVP, does that suddenly mean he was the best player? Was Andre Iguodala the best player in 2015? Steph Curry's entire style of play is based around not always looking like the best player on the team. He's the greatest shooter of all time, and his presence drags defenders away from his teammates. Steph might be the best point guard of all time at playing without the basketball. His sheer presence opens up defenses, dragging away 2, 3 defenders at a time. For a guy like Kevin Durant, there's no way it could possibly be easier. Now, no one is arguing that KD sucks. He's what, a top 15 player of all time? Top 10 player of all time? And those 2017 and 2018 Warriors, they're not the same team without him. They went from arguably being the greatest team of all time to completely unstoppable because of the ISO scoring and instant offense KD brought, along with his totally underrated post defense. Remember, dude is 7 feet tall. But those of you who argued that Steph got carried to 2 rings by Kevin Durant were completely proven wrong in 2022. Steph won without KD, and it wasn't even the first time. KD, on the other hand, was sitting back home watching the finals from his couch. And how did your 2022 season end, KD? That's right, getting swept by Jason Tatum, aka a younger version of you.
They lost in the first round of playoffs. They didn't lose in the second round of the conference finals.
Got swept in the first round.
They got swept, so that means things are not good.
You can't get swept in the first round and still try to argue you're the best player in the league. Chuck knew exactly what would happen next.
They're going to start blaming Steve Nash. His 2 best players didn't play well, plain and simple. And his 3rd best player, we don't know where he's at.
And that's what KD did. He got Steve Nash fired, literally the coach who KD and his fellow stars begged to have brought on board. KD chose to play with Kyrie, a known chemistry killer. But when things got tough, they both asked out. And not only that, but KD had 2 requests for trades, and only 2. The Phoenix Suns and the Miami Heat. That season, those 2 were the top teams in either conference. Again, you're going to join the best team in the league when you can't win by yourself? Kevin Durant, you are not beating the bus rider allegations. Joining the Warriors in 2016, we can forgive that. Your relationship with Russ soured, you were 9 years deep in the league, and you just wanted something fresh. The cap spiked that year, and the Warriors had a lot of young dudes on low salaries. So they were really the only team who could afford you and still win a title. So we'll forgive that, KD. And then he left in 2019. That's great, spread your wings, get your own team. Steve Kerr knew that KD desperately wanted to be known as the best player in the league, which would never ever happen, playing with Steph Curry and the Bay. That would always be Steph's team, and KD's NBA legacy would be that of a secondary player, not the best. But why didn't he stick with the Nets? Obviously the Harden experiment failed. After his Philly exit, it's hard to blame that on anyone but Harden himself. Kyrie flamed out and then ditched in a historically crazy way, but couldn't KD have seen that coming? The fact of the matter is, when KD was the best player on his team, the true alpha dog, he came up short. About one big toe short, to be clear. Durant was insane that game. He scored 48 points, breaking the record for most points in a Game 7 by Dominique Wilkins and Sam Jones in 1988 and 1963. Of course, that record didn't hold for long, broken twice in 2 weeks last postseason. Even so, KD proved in that 2021 series why he might be the most gifted scoring forward of all time. He can hit shots at any angle, getting himself open for any look. Is there anyone better at hitting tough shots away from the rim? Seriously, in NBA history, who is a better scorer from the forward position? Let us know in the comments. So why wasn't it good enough? Why does Chuck still think KD's a bus rider? 3 reasons. First off, his style of play isn't always conducive to team ball. KD is a low usage, high scoring player. That is a great combo. He can fit into any system, and he is absolutely not a ball hog. He loves to share the rock and loves to get his teammates involved. That is, when things are going well. When the going gets tough, KD turns into a trigger-happy shooter with a one-track mind. It's often been an issue in late games. He waves off screens or passers to take a tough open look. But the thing is, KD hits them. Time and time again, he's hit big shots because he's that talented. But eventually, those shots don't fall. His clutch numbers this season are bad. Your teammates get sick of watching you pull up from 20 feet to end the game, and no one is engaged anymore. Steve Kerr said it best, relaying a Michael Jordan story from his playing days.
Bulls, we had a playoff game, and he kept trying to score. And he was scoring, but we weren't getting anything going. Phil Jackson said, "Who's open?" I said, "John Paxson." I want you to trust your teammates early. What you're doing is you're getting to the rim, and then you're trying to hit them. I want you to trust the first guy, and then move. Still attack, still look to score, but trust these guys, okay?
Second reason, KD just isn't a leader. That's fine, not everybody is. You can be a great player without really being an emotional leader. Honestly, Charles Barkley probably fits in that category. Shaq was never really a rally the troops type of leader, neither was Ray Allen, Elgin Baylor, even Kareem let Magic be the vocal leader of his team. But Kevin Durant wants to be treated like the alpha without ever really acting like it. Former teammate Goran Dragic, who played with KD a whopping 16 games, knew this firsthand, despite barely spending any time there. The former All-NBA guard said, "I played with some stars like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and I have to admit that it was quite difficult because the focus was not on the team, but more the individual performances of the individuals." KD called people out for this belief to Bleacher Report, saying, "I'm not a leader? What the F does that mean? A lot of people say I'm not a leader because I didn't tell Kyrie to get vaccinated. Come on. Or I didn't condemn Kyrie for leaving the team, going out and living his life. I'm not about to tell a grown-ass man what he can and can't do with his own life and dissect his views or how he thinks." But the funny thing is, KD straight up said he didn't want to be a leader a few years earlier. In a feature by GQ's Zach Barron, KD said the following quotes: "Steph Curry is the face of the franchise, and that helps me out because I don't have to. I don't want to be the leader. I'm not a leader. I'm bad at saying stand behind me and follow me. No, I'm not one of those guys that's just like, let's do this together. Let's just work everybody together. I don't mind being on the front line with you, but let's come and do it together. That's my way of leadership. I'm leading by example." Leading by example is totally valid, but you can't argue back when Chuck says you're riding the bus. Now that he's in Phoenix, the only player on the team of his caliber, is he going to step up and be a leader? Devin Booker doesn't have that alpha gene. Bradley Beal, forget about it. It's time to step up, KD, before you prove to the world the third reason. Kevin Durant always gives up when it's hard. They say when the going gets tough, the tough get going. For KD, he thinks that means get going to a new team. When he lost in 2016, making it 4 straight years without a finals trip on a talented young team, he left OKC. When he couldn't patch things up with Westbrook, the best 1-2 punch in the league, he left. When injuries set back the Warriors and they lost the 2019 finals, he left. When Kyrie flamed out and the Nets were proving to be a low-tier playoff team at best, he left, blaming his teammates on the way out. The teammates, by the way, that he chose. The Suns have had a nice resurgence to start the new year, going 11-6 when their big three play together. But there is going to be a point when it looks bleak. It's the NBA, it's a long season. Tough times happen. Is KD going to stick it out or leave for greener pastures one more time? Every great team had to wade through it before emerging victorious. Those early Steph Warrior teams sucked, but he stayed through it until it got better. Dirk Nowitzki waited over a decade to get his. Jordan lost again and again to the Pistons. Does KD have that fight in him? Or is he just not that type of guy? Let us know in the comments, then watch one of these videos next. Listen to The Wrong Opinion, useless NBA trivia, and garbage rankings for more NBA content.